live, ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It's Hoist the Colors. It's a Monday. It's a new week. Are the Pirates back? That is the question. People around Greenville, North Carolina and Eastern North Carolina and maybe regionally, nationally are asking about the ECU baseball team, which swept away the Charlotte 49ers over the weekend in dominating fashion in 2 of the 3 games, in comeback fashion on Friday night. Probably the game of the year, definitely the game of the year, I'd say, as far as a comeback and a statement week of sorts for ECU as they went from really outside the at-large picture as a whole back squarely into it. We'll discuss that a whole lot more. RPI jumps from around 60 to the top 30. Still just less than half the regular season to go, so there's a lot to get done. But a lot of excitement back in to the Pirate Nation that follows ECU baseball. So we'll discuss that a whole lot more. We'll say no Cliff Godwin interview today. We usually have our Monday chat with CG. He let me know yesterday they have got a recruit in town throughout the day. The only time he could do was early this morning when the studio was booked. So we'll postpone that. We'll get him on next week, or maybe if they go 4-0 the rest of the way each week, maybe we'll just not do it for just superstition's sake. But we'll try to get him on next week for sure. Appreciate Cliff as always. So we'll spend plenty of time talking about the baseball weekend that was. We will catch up. Our backup plan is Scott Rogers. Yep, that's right, Scooter. We're going to reach out to him around 12:15. He's on the road back to Georgia, but he was in town for ECU's fun weekend, and we'll ask him why he's not staying because he seemed to be the good luck charm. We also confirmed the existence of ECU's new football coordinators, Jordan Hankins and Jordan Davis. We talked to them in their first media availability with us this morning following practice, so we'll get some reaction to that as well. The national championship game in college basketball is tonight. Arizona got smashed by Michigan, so my national champion's done, but the Wolverines head into tonight's game against UConn with a national title on the line. We'll discuss that as well. Philip Pilkinen, he is behind the glass, as he always is, except for very rare circumstances. Philip, how you doing on this Monday as we start another week?
I'm good, man. It's fun. It was a good weekend. Weather was pretty good. Pirates got 3 wins, 2-1 on the softball diamond, so, we'll take it.
5-1 combined record against the 49ers, much better than what men's basketball did this past season and what football had done during the Mike Houston era. But maybe we're starting to finally figure out this ECU-Charlotte rivalry in other sports. So Pirates get it done, and we'll see if they match up again in the conference tournament. But, man, did not expect – first off, I predicted a Charlotte series victory. Shame on me. I can't. Philip, did you go Charlotte as well? No, you went ECU.
I went ECU. I said
ECU.
2-1, I did go ECU.
You were the lone person in the media because Scott Lorbacher, Jonathan Wagner, myself all had Charlotte winning the series.
Kaysen,
shame on us. And here we are, ECU. We had all this talk, this chat, this time last week, Philip, as I look at it now. Last week it was filled up with our chances are done. We can't make the tournament. We're going to have to win in Clearwater. Well, 4 victories later, ECU, it's definitely not a sure thing because for all we know, they could go to Tulane and get swept because of the voodoo in New Orleans. But ECU went from, I don't want to say dead, but borderline dead, and now they sweep the series, go 4-0 with 4 in-state wins. Their RPI is up to 29. Their strength of schedule nationally is 15th. You can make the argument they are certainly lacking a marquee series win, although UAB is suddenly 22-10, 7-2 in the conference, and 34th in the RPI. But ECU is right where it needs to be to make a run at an at-large berth. So, man, it's just always crazy how much one weekend, one good week of baseball can change things. As the opposite can be true as well, Philip. But we are we're finally feeling some good vibes after the first perfect weekend for ECU baseball in 2026.
We are, and it is amazing how much fluidity, I guess, this has with one weekend. I think it kind of raises the question, though, now. I know we want to win the conference regular season, but is the best case scenario for us and UAB to not lose a game the rest of the way? I mean, I know that's not like it's really hypothetical. It's not going to happen. But like in a perfect world, from here on out, do they end up whatever that would be 25-2 and we're 24-3 and we go, well, we gave them their only 2 losses? Does that almost be the thing that maybe like guarantees us the most? And you'd have a marquee series win. They'd be 2 quad 1 wins at home. You'd be quad 1 losses for them. Of course, I guess if you win every game the rest of the way, your RPI is probably like in the top 20 anyways. So
yeah, but if ECU pulled a 2022 ECU and won 22 in a row, then you'd be back in the hosting mix. But I mean, yeah, I look. You look at UAB; they do have to go to South Florida. They do have to go to UTSA the final weekend of the season, so that could be critical for the Roadrunners. We'll get more to the conference race later this week. We tried last week, remember, and it was just like it's probably still too early. But at least we have a little bit more clarity. UAB's at 7-2, ECU, UTSA at 6-3.
It looks there's a. I mean, you got to think last week almost every team was 3-3 anyways, and I think a lot of it was like based off who you had or hadn't played. Now I think at least like everybody in the top part of the conference has at least played one other series against everybody else in the top part of the conference, other than maybe South Florida hasn't played anybody else. But I think you're kind of are what your record says you are after 3 weeks.
No doubt, and we're finally getting some clarity. By the way, FAU bringing up the rear at 2-7 as they have struggled. ECU will get.
Didn't they start 2-1?
That is a good question. Let me check. I want to say first series they played UTSA 1-1.
Oh, okay.
Lost 2 out of 3 to Rice, and then got swept by UAB.
Okay, that's right.
So ECU and UAB, I believe. One of the few teams doing the sweeping.
They're the only teams. Yeah. There's been 3 sweeps. UAB swept each of the last 2 weeks, and we swept the once.
UAB won 9 in a row. All right, some comments from the chat here before we get into our breakdown of the series. Spencer Scott says the Pirates have 7 qualified hitters hitting over 300. Well, when you score double-digit runs in 4 straight games, that certainly impacts those numbers quite a bit. Ryan Cole says the birdhouse is back. Maybe it's not a coincidence, Philip. They bring the birdhouse back. The team shows a little bit more swagger. We even had a few dugout warnings, which I love, man. I want this team. Obviously, there's a line you can't cross, but like you got to play the game with some attitude. And I feel like they at least took maybe they just did it on their own, but for whatever reason, they took the Charlotte series a little personal. Maybe it's just the in-state factor. Maybe Charlotte was talking. I don't know. But I just like that we finally saw some juice, some energy, and I think it's easy to do that, obviously, when you're hitting home runs and scoring double-digit runs. But we even saw it when they were trailing in some games. So I just thought, like, all weekend they played like I know how Pirate baseball can look like.
I've not questioned whether or not this team's talented. I've not questioned whether or not this team works hard. I've questioned all year whether this team can have a chip on its shoulder when it needs to. They had it this week. They played with that grit. They played with that toughness. They played with that little bit of that attitude. Again, like you said, you can't just go out there and that be your only thing, and you can't cross a line. They didn't cross the line this week. Now the question is, Steven, was that a thing because they were playing Charlotte, or have they woken up and realizing that's what it takes to put you over that hump to become not just a solid baseball team, but a very good baseball team? And I hope they figured it out. I think we'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow whether this was just for the weekend, or now they've had a couple days off for the Easter holiday, if this is just the new revamped Pirates. And what better opponent to have in it than a team that walked you off 3 weeks ago? I
was going to say, revenge week from the standpoint of you blew the game at Duke. Obviously, you give Duke credit. They took full advantage, but that was a game ECU should have won. Now, ECU last year, they got beat 20-5 at home by Tulane. They ended up losing that series. Tulane historically has been a house of horrors the last few years. And I don't know if Cliff Gobb needs to show footage of the Duke walk-off and the Tulane walk-offs from over the years all week, but they should feel plenty of motivation going into this week as well, just from a standpoint of – and granted, you got a lot of new players, but still, like some of those guys should know the story of the Tulane series last year and from years before. So what if I would have told you going into the weekend, Philip, that Luke Payne would give you more innings than Ethan Norby and you would sweep the series? I mean –
yeah, I definitely would have not predicted a sweep based off those. Or if you then said that, I said, oh, well, Luke Payne threw 9 complete innings, I guess. I don't know, man. That was weird. The one thing I'm going to say, we said this after the game kind of jointly as a group. Cliff Godwin, I don't remember if he hit on it, but it seems like the media kind of hit on it. That is the first game we've won in a long time with a really good starting pitcher having a really bad outing. You know, even last year, if Norby didn't pitch well, the team didn't win. I'm not saying they didn't have bad outings from a starter, but it would have been one of those guys like, oh, yeah, that's right, he's a starter. We know we're going to have to score runs today. In a game that you thought you could have won 2-1, and your ace gives up 7 runs, 6 earned, you gritted one out. Like that's happened before, but not recently.
And yes, that has not happened with this year's ECU's team. It did not happen with last year's ECU team. You know, I asked Cliff Godwin after the game. Didn't really ask him. I just said vintage Clark LeClaire Stadium because like, you could feel it in the stadium that day. And there have been some games where the crowd this year, like specifically the Sunday game versus UAB and a couple games during the year, where they tried to will the team back from early deficit, and the team just did not have the juice to match it. Well, Friday's game 2 of the series, again, the crowd tried to will them, and for once, the team kind of fed off that. And it has been too long since we saw the Pirates kind of answer the fans like that and in cohesion work together to rattle the opposing team and to come back and complete a really impressive comeback. And that's the thing. They had a good comeback at UTSA, couldn't finish it off. This time at home, crowd wills them. And I was sitting right above the Charlotte dugout taking pictures in Game 2 in the middle innings. And those guys, even when they were still up 7-5, 9-5, 9-7, when they came off the field after those home half innings, I could see it in their eyes, Philip. They were scared. And it ended up playing out the way it showed with their defense. It showed with some of their pitching, inability to throw strikes, and credit ECU for continuing to hang in there. The crowd put the pressure on the opposing team. The team put the pressure on Charlotte, and as a result, the Pirates end up taking Game 2, and I thought the most impressive thing was, all right, we're not going to be satisfied with that. Let's come out Game 3 and finish the sweep, which is something else they had not done. So we are starting to see legitimate steps in the right direction from this team that Cliff Godwin has said all year. Look, we're going to continue to get better. I know fans get tired of hearing that. Well, now we have some tangible results that show that they did get a lot better this past week.
They did. And, you know, when you come off an emotional win like that, you always wonder how the next game's going to go. And, you know, look no further than South Carolina the other day, right, with the emotional win over UConn, and then they forgot to show up yesterday afternoon against UCLA in the national championship game on the women's side. And that's not the only time, you know, that's happened. There's been a lot of times that happens, especially happens in like 3-game series in baseball. Hey, you win the emotional one, you've already clinched the series. Who cares? I was meeting a buddy for lunch on Saturday. I'm listening to Dylan and Coach O. I hear the top of the first. I get through the first 2 ABs of the rest of it. I expect to get back in my car. It's going to be the 4th or 5th inning already. It's going to be somebody's going to be up 3-2. I get in my car, and it's like still the 3rd inning, and it's like 13-1 or something like that already. I'm like, what in the hell? And I look at the box. I think I go on Twitter and look at you and our company thing on Twitter. It's like 11 runs. Holy crap. So, hey, there you go.
And shout out to James Giglio, who texted me, said, is stat broadcast glitching out, or is it really 11-0 in the first inning? And
there's photo evidence on Stephen Igo's Twitter that
is.
it was 11-0 in the first inning.
I was shocked, honestly. I think this has happened recently, so I should have been more prepared. I was thinking they were going to score 11 and they'd only be able to show a 1 on the, under the bottom of the first, but they ended up fitting both digits up there with the
I think because the scoreboard's
scoreboard.
100% digital and it's not, the old school scoreboard.
Some more comments here before we get a break in. Spencer Scott said, recency bias aside, we all felt the season was dead. This time last week, I mean, look, you get walked off twice and you kind of blow some big opportunities there. It definitely felt like that to a degree. And I said there was still a path to an at-large. I did not expect them to go out and run the table against UNCW Charlotte to get themselves back in prime position for a run at it. Josh Thomas says, how crazy is it that we jumped 23 spots in the RPI on the weekend? That feels like a sign. Jonathan Wagner from 0-3 says, inside scoop, ECU is back in my field of 64 this week. So,
there you go, Wags.
Pirates making a push.
How many bids you got there, Wags? 2? Us and UAB?
For the American? I know he told me he had UAB on the bubble. I don't know if they ended up making it.
Well, the thing is and Wags could do it different than other guys does it. But normally with the one bid leagues, whoever's first in the conference standings, you like automatically put every team, or not even the one bid leagues, you automatically put everybody in. But I don't know if he's projecting ECU to just go ahead and win the conference. I don't know.
And we'll see. The biggest test for this team now, which we'll get more into in the coming days, is can they follow this up? A great week, a lot of pats on the back with a potential letdown week, or avoid that, as you get Duke at home. Should be a good atmosphere. But then you go to Tulane, which is having a tough year this coming weekend, but will be motivated, of course, for the Pirates, as they always are. So Pirates got to continue to play ball. And the other thing is, with the pitching situation, no game is going to be a guarantee from here on out, just given the lack of arms ECU has. We'll get more into that discussion, and we'll get more into our takeaways. Let's go ahead and get a break in. We'll get a live check-in with Scooter, Scott Rogers. We'll ask him why he's leaving town after he just brought the best luck of the season to the Pirates inside Clark LeClaire Stadium. So we'll hear from Scooter next on Hoist the Colors.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in segment 2 here, Hoist the Colors. We just left football practice about a little under 40 minutes ago. Talked to Jordan Hankins, Jordan Davis. We'll get a football report a little later from Philip Pilkin and I. Right now, we're going to head out to the phone lines. We couldn't get Cliff Godwin on this week due to some recruiting, so we got the next best thing, and that is Scott Rogers. Scott Rogers, Scooter, the guy leaving us, as the graphic says, it still applies to this day because he's not only left Greenville for good a few years ago, but now he is leaving us again, as you can hear him on the road back to Georgia. Scott, why are you leaving us again?
Well, number one, I don't think it's fair that he's putting up a graphic that I can't see at the moment. That's not fair.
To be fair, it's the same graphic as the day you came in right when you were leaving us. I just didn't make a new graphic. It literally says Scooter, the guy leading us, and is a picture of you from the ECU website.
Wonderful. That's just a wonderful graphic that you did there. It was good to get back for the weekend and having some days off with the Easter holiday, taking advantage of that. But definitely glad I made the trip home because obviously it was a great weekend for Pirate baseball and see them get back on the right track.
Scott Rogers, he is the former voice of ECU baseball. This past weekend, he was a fan in the jungle. He got to hang out with my 4-year-old son Slater on, I believe, Thursday night. And what was it like to partake in the fan activities and see a Pirates sweep, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, this was the second time that I've been back since leaving the radio job. I came back for opening weekend last year, but obviously opening weekend, it's 40, 50 degrees outside, nowhere near what the atmosphere is out there when it's 80 degrees and on a perfect sunny day like it was. But it was awesome. I mean, Friday night, I should say, that environment was unbelievable. I mean, it felt like a late season jungle crowd out there, and just being able to be out there and experience it firsthand, not being up in the press box is awesome. And I mean, the way the crowd supported them all weekend was great, and obviously how that Charlotte series has transpired into, pretty much the conference rival, sort of say, outside of UTSA. But it was awesome to be a part of it, and it definitely played a factor this weekend for sure.
Pirates are now 20-12-1, 6-3 in the American after the sweep. And Scooter, there was a lot of people this time last week in the freak-out category, probably for good reason. ECU had been walked off twice. They were 1-3. They were 16-12-1, and RPI RPI wasn't looking so good. The metrics weren't looking so good, and I don't know. Just what have you kind of made of this season at this point when you look at it in totality for the Pirates?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the first part of the year, and really, ever since up until right now. I mean, like you said, most people have been in panic mode with it, but they've consistently stayed right there. Yes, they've had their ups and downs with it, but I think they finally came out of that UTSA series with our oh crap moment, really. And it really would be another word I would say if we're on the radio, but just kind of that oh crap moment. We got to get our stuff together is what it was. And I think something finally clicked coming out of that UTSA series, and this, we've seen that in the past with ECU clubs. I mean, you think back to last year where something clicked there towards the end of the regular season when that team got hot. You were just talking about the 2022 team in your first segment, how that team clicked with that win streak. There's always a turning point somewhere with this club, and whenever that turning point comes, it's always a steep turn that they do, and whenever it happens, you better watch out. And it's obviously happening because you're looking at guys like, obviously, Grady Linehan's been great all year, but what Davin Whitaker's doing right now with his bat has been unbelievable. And really just everybody has started to hit the ball great here over the past week or so. And the key is going to be can they keep this up heading down the stretch run here of conference play? And, obviously going to Tulane this weekend is going to be tough. It's always tough playing at Tulane for whatever reason down there. I mean, any sport right now, but baseball specifically, and it's always a series that's tough. And if you can come out of Tulane with 2 out of 3 this weekend, that's a huge win for this ball club. And obviously this week against Duke, if you can somehow get that a win at home and the crowd can come out like it has been and get behind them, a 3-1, 4-0 week would be humongous for this team right now.
Scott Rogers with us, and I was going to bring up the Friday night game, game 2 of the series, with it being the Easter weekend. And, I asked Cliff Godwin after the game, Scooter, vintage Clark LeClaire kind of makes a return. And again, I don't want to put it all on you, but it had been really since you left that we've seen a comeback win like that at home. Like last year, it didn't have that home magic. The early part of this year, they haven't had that home magic, and I'm hoping that this kind of shows the current players, like, all right, when you buy into this place, when you feed off the crowd, this is how unbeatable ECU can be at home at its peak. And I feel like to get to where they want to go this season, they're going to have to continue that, obviously on the road this weekend, but they're going to have to dominate at home, I think, to get into the field and hopefully make a run towards a conference championship again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the term that I used to a couple of people over the weekend was you haven't seen that edge that a lot of ECU teams have played with in the past with this club. But we saw it this weekend. You saw how they were playing with that attitude, how they were getting into the jump talking a little bit. I mean, heck, we had the Charlotte mom and the fan getting in a fight in the stadium. That's peak ECU baseball right there. But it shows how much energy was in the crowd this weekend. And you're right. You haven't seen that big come from behind win in quite some time at home. But it shows how powerful a good crowd like that can be when getting behind this club. Because like you said, there was many times when I was doing radio, we saw that a lot of times. And it wasn't just one or two times throughout the year. I mean, it was pretty much every home game when those guys would get down, that crowd would get behind them, and they would get right back into it. So, but you got to give them something to play for. Like you said, they played with that edge this weekend, and it truly showed on that game Friday night.
Scooter, I do wonder how could Charlotte have prevented that comeback when ECU started to come back? Because, you were up really big against me and Wags and Cornhole on Friday in the pregame, and Wags and I made a really good push. I thought we came back, made it a game, but you and Jalen were able to close it out. So I was just wondering what Charlotte could have done differently and taken from your playbook there to not allow the comeback.
Well, it's two different games there, Philip.
But you played with heart. You didn't give up. Charlotte's body language changed.
Charlotte was
you
rattled.
kicked my butt.
That's right. I know. With cornhole, you got to play with heart and more Coors Light in your system, and you're good. But you can't necessarily do that when you're Charlotte. But yeah, I mean, it almost seemed like they just got too comfortable with it. And as a Charlotte club, you should know obviously what it's like playing at East Carolina. And if there's one place you cannot get comfortable as an opposing team in a big lead, it's ECU, for sure. And now that has come back, people are going to know this in the conference and those remaining home series. People are going to know that you're going to have to keep the gas on the pedal when you're at home when you're on the road against East Carolina, because how quickly they can come back. And I mean, truly, what they did in the final innings of that comeback on Friday obviously transferred into the first inning on Saturday. Because I mean, that was unbelievable how they started that game. And it wasn't, I mean, everybody knows this, but it wasn't like it was doubles and extra base hits or home runs, whichever it is. I mean, they were just solid singles that they were getting through with it. But it also shows that you just get your routine base hits, you get stuff going, and good things happen no matter the situation.
Scooter, I will tell you, as a Red Sox fan, you can play baseball with beer in your system. Our guys used to do it all the time. All right, back to you, Steven. Sorry.
By the way, Scooter mentioned the Charlotte pitcher's mom. That was the mother of Joseph Taylor, who, by the way, is Charlotte's best reliever. He had 2 appearances on the weekend. He allowed 12 earned runs in 1 inning total, and his ERA went from 3.27 to 6.35. So not only did mom not handle it well, it was a struggle for Joseph Taylor, who is a really good pitcher, just had a rough weekend. All right, Scooter, we do have a question from the chat. Scott Lorbatcher wants to know, are you driving an International Harvester?
I am not driving an International Harvester at the moment, but I think it would take me quite some time to get back to Georgia if I was driving that. But maybe I'll pop on International Harvester from Spotify when I hop off with you guys. To get me fired up for these final hours going through the stretch.
I look forward to getting that screenshot, which you often send. Josh Thomas also says, Scooter, if we don't win this week, it is all your fault for leaving. And I do have to agree. Now, I will say it's all your fault when you're in the football stadium and the football team loses. That's 100% your fault as well. Also, if baseball loses on Tuesday, you're not here, you better come back for the next series. I think it's next week versus NC State. So I'm expecting to see you here.
Look, the last football game I was at was the Memphis game, and it was the great comeback win of the season. So that curse is gone. It's nullified. It's not a thing anymore. And I really would have been told had I not gotten COVID over Christmas and not been able to go to the bowl game. So, but that curse is done for football. We got to put that to rest.
That's fair. That's fair. Scott Rogers heading
basketball. There's no curse there. I can't help it.
Yeah, that's just look. Everybody's cursed at this stage when it comes to attending the basketball games. Scott Rogers with us. Final thing, he's on his way back to Georgia. Give the folks an update on Scott Rogers' life right now. Like, what are you up to? Do you have a girlfriend yet? And how are things going?
No, things are good. Obviously, with the job and everything, it's picking up this time of year with everything rocking and rolling as we get closer and closer to the summer. So everything's good there. A little bit of travel and stuff coming up with it, but stuff that I'd love to do, getting out and just talking to people and meeting people. I mean, obviously, you know what it's like in your job to meet so many different people, and I get to do the same thing in my job now, and so that's one of the true things that I do enjoy about it. But no, it's been great living in Georgia. I've really enjoyed it. Going to a ton of Braves games here recently, and hopefully a little bit better season this year than last year. It's been a better start so far, but no, things are good. I've been able to have a couple fill-in gigs on radio, filled in for Kyle Schatzberger at Louisiana Tech for men's basketball about a month ago back in February, and so still staying fresh with that. But no, things are really good. Trust me, I got the question a lot this weekend about, would you ever come back to East Carolina? Would you ever want to come back here? And my question is, look, right now I'm very happy with what I'm doing and really enjoying life.
We know you would still come back, Scooter, so it's okay. Also, still no girlfriend?
Well, TBD at the moment. TBD. We can't unveil information yet.
TBD. Interesting.
I got the same answer when I asked them the other day after a couple Coors Lights, and when you have those, usually you spit out the
how you TBD
and he,
on a girlfriend.
He still TBD'd me. Yeah.
This is a sports talk show. We'll have to put this on a different topic for this conversation. Confidential information.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Also, Ryan wants to know, Scooter, who do you have winning the Masters this weekend?
Who do I have winning the Masters this weekend? I love my boy Scotty Scheffler. I love Scotty, but I hope now that I'm in Georgia, maybe I can somehow find a Masters connection to get tickets.
Yeah,
you
get there.
I hopefully that happens here in the near future, but I'll always love my boy Scotty Scheffler, so I will never not pick him for anything.
All right, Scott Rogers, we appreciate it, my man. Good to see you this weekend. You may be Slater's new best friend, so look forward to more of those encounters as well, and look forward to meeting your girlfriend in the near future as well. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks, Philip and Stephen. But tell Slater I like his word. What now? He's now my next Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He is definitely into that for sure. All right, Scooter, we'll talk to you next time. Appreciate the great Scott Rogers for hopping on board on his way back to Georgia. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll have more takeaways from the series sweep over Charlotte. Also, a football update. We heard from the coordinators, Jordan and Jordan, for the first time out of ECU football. We'll have more on that as well next.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
The Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Steve and Igo. Yes! That was so good! 194.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here on a Monday, third segment. We'll talk spring football. I tell you what, let's do final takeaways from the Charlotte series, answer any questions, and we'll get a break in, and then we'll do spring football press conference takeaways from Jordan Hankins and Jordan Davis, coordinator pressers from ECU football. We finally got those in, and we'll share our takeaways from that. All right. So Kenny Curlins wants to know, is Tuesday's game sold out yet against Duke? I have not seen anything about it being sold out. I don't know if it will be sold out. Guess we'll find out. I do expect next week's NC State game to be at near max capacity, if not at max capacity. But Duke should be a good crowd tomorrow, 6 o'clock, first pitch. We'll get into some of the individual baseball takeaways now, Philip. We talked more big picture in our first segment. When you look at just standouts from the weekend, anything really catch your eye the most?
Walker Bear 2 bombs, baby.
Oh, dude, I got to credit you on air. So I know we talked about it, I think a little bit Friday's show.
So it's Thursday. We had Kaysen on, and we talked about who we were going to do as our pick to click, and we didn't actually do it on the air. We ran out of time because we were previewing other series, but we said our pick to clicks, and I said Walker Barron bounces back after a rough weekend and has 2 bombs.
And he had never hit a home run in Clark LeClaire Stadium in a live game. Probably in a scrimmage, but he had never done it in a game. So not only to go 1 home run, Philip, that was bold, but to go 2, extremely bold. Now, I will say the wind did help him a little bit, but he also crushed the first home run was a no-doubter that he crushed. Whatever one he pulled was a crush, one he crushed. But either way, he hit 2, and that might be one of the best predictions I've seen. Because, like, the odds of it actually happening were very slim. Because, like, Walker's not a big home run guy, and he came up with 2 big swings. So
the only reason I predicted it is because he hit that ball so hard at UTSA that the wind kept in. And on top of it, like, you know, when we talk about consistent guys on the team, we haven't talked about Barron a lot this year, but he has been one of the more consistent hitters. He just does it in kind of a quiet way. It's just like, man, the fact that he went 0 for last weekend and got robbed of a home run by Mother Nature, like, he's going to make a statement. That was the reason. That was my reasoning behind it. And I really didn't think it was going to happen, but, you know.
It happened, and I'm amazed by the prediction, honestly. So credit to you. Great job. How about Davin Whitaker? I'm just going to be honest. I thought when he was playing a lot early in the season, I'm like, look, this is a great story. I think Davin's probably more of a 4th or 5th outfielder, but I'm glad he's getting his run and making the most of it. But now, like, he's proved me wrong. He looks like a guy that may end up leading this team in batting average. He's hitting .393. I mean, is that sustainable? I don't know, but he keeps just getting the barrel to the baseball, and he's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. When he gets down the count, he's fighting and having good at bats, and he plays better defense than I thought. And I just have to credit Davin Whitaker and obviously the coaching staff for helping to develop him, but Davin Whitaker for believing in himself, staying here when he could have easily transferred. I mean, he's now reached base via the freebies as many times as he struck out. He's hitting for power, 6 doubles, 2 triples, 3 homers, and man, there was a conversation going on in the stands of who's better, Jacob Jenkins-Cowart or Davin Whitaker, because they're like so similar in terms of size, and Davin's almost made him into a mini JC. Like JC's the better player because he did it for a longer time, but like he reminds me of JC the way he's hitting right now. He's just smashing the baseball.
Well, he reminds me of JC too in the outfield. That I don't think either one of them are extremely fast guys or particularly phenomenal athletes, but they track the ball really well the second it's hit, and therefore what they lack in speed, they make up for being able to get their first couple steps earlier than an average outfielder because they see the ball so well and they take such good routes to the baseball. So, I just think he's one of those guys, too. You mentioned his two-strike approach. Like, he's just one of the smarter players we've had at East Carolina. Again, up there kind of reminds you of JC in a lot of ways, and he fights off pitches that he doesn't like. He doesn't necessarily try and put a ball in play just because it's a strike. So he'll find it off and wait for his pitch, and he's very disciplined, and he busts his rear end, and just like JC, he's kind of quiet, but he's got a little swagger to him, has a chip on his shoulder. Supposedly Thursday night, he was the one that got the warning, so I love it. He's got that fire.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like team leader, third-year guy, maybe understanding the right time. Like, all right, and I asked him after Saturday's game, and I tried to get something out of him, and he did a good job by not giving me too much. But I kind of asked, like, you guys this week, y'all play with a little bit more something, a little bit more attitude. I'm not saying they were crossing the line. And I was just like, why? What changed there? And he's just, we're tired of losing. We want to do what it takes to win. And he's a third-year player. He's seen guys ahead of him do it. He's now starting to be the guy that does it. And credit to Davin Whitaker. Scott added in the chat, Davin is the spark plug, energy/leader guy we've needed the last couple of years. So Davin Whitaker becoming that guy. And going into the season would have been probably my last pick to be the guy who's like igniting the team by talking some trash around the bases, but good for him because this team needs some fire, and hope it continues to a degree. Also a good weekend, Grady Linehan, a good week, continues to just crush the baseball. Speaking of getting the barrel to the ball, short, compact swing, and when he finds the barrel, it's just real juicing. The other thing with Grady is I think there was one play he didn't make that was a tough play in left center, but he has quietly played a really good center field this year, Phillip. Like, for a freshman who, from my understanding in the fall, was not great in center field, has really improved. Cliff Godwin said he's as intentional as any freshman he's ever been around about just getting better. Seems like a serious guy who's all about just putting the work in to get better. And his tools, man, the power, the speed. There was a play he scored from first on Thursday on a single. Now, he was on the move, but still, like, on the pitch, like stolen base. But still, he's got real tools, and I think he's going to be a pro in about 3 years. But Pirates are lucky to have him.
They definitely are. And I think part of the reason we maybe haven't talked about his defense is partly his offense has been good, and partly he hasn't made that spectacular play yet. He hasn't gunned that guy out at home in that big moment or made that diving catch in that big moment. But to your point, like, he's done everything he's had to do. Like, I'm not worried when the ball gets hit to center field. Like, he's doing what it takes to be a really good freshman. He hasn't evolved into a superstar yet, but he's laying the foundation to become a superstar. And if you don't lay the foundation, you're never going to be it. And I think he and Braden Burris are the face of the East Carolina Pirates moving forward starting next year.
Also, Jack Herring bounced back with a really good week after, a down week, I should say, at UTSA. Hit a bomb on Saturday. Had a good week. Jeff Sabater is quietly hitting 400. Now, limited opportunities, but he's been a little spark plugged in there. Matt Lashley had another solid week. Had the 2-run double Saturday. Had the game-time home run Friday. Which was an awesome reaction as he rounded the bases. And Austin Irby checking in with the hit. He also did a good job this week, even though he's fighting through it right now, getting on base via the free pass. So hopefully they can get Austin going down the stretch as well. Pitching wise, look, it's just going to continue to be by committee. They're going to need realistically more from Ethan Norby as far as innings, even if he doesn't have to go out and throw 7 shutout innings, but just ideally getting deeper in the games, because you're still going to be without Van Kempen, you're still going to be without Weber, at least for the next little while. They did at least find a couple more potential starters. We mentioned Payne, talked about him Friday's show, but Joseph Webb has been a big bullpen guy this year, and I think he'll probably stay available in the bullpen, but he at least showed he can go in and start if needed. Goes 3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run in the series finale, 44 pitches, and look comfortable as a starter. So right now, for me, it's just like finding more guys who look comfortable in that role. They don't have to go super deep. You just want to have a chance at the beginning of some of these games with the way the offense is hitting right now. You just don't want to find yourself down, 4 or 5 runs early like we saw at UTSA. I think Towers will get another shot. I think Saccone will probably throw tomorrow. If not start, he'll definitely throw Phillips. So, look, it's not going to be pretty on the pitching side just with the injury situation, but I think they are starting to at least develop a little bit more of an identity there.
Yeah, I think they are too. That's the thing, man, that's so tough about college baseball is when guys come in, they profile as pitchers. When guys come to the majors, they profile as a starter or reliever. And they find out what they are in college. So as a pitching coach and as a manager, you've got to figure all of that out. You don't just have to just figure out, hey, how good is this guy? What pitches can he throw? It's when do we use him? Is he good in this scenario? Is he not good in this scenario? Is he good being a starter? We got 2 starters hurt. What the hell do we do? So, look, Saccone, small sample size, right? But here, profile's better as a starter than a reliever. At his previous stop, much larger sample size, profiled better as a starter than a reliever. So I think they're starting to figure it out. It's very clear Jenkins will not go to the starting role, but I think that's the wise decision by CG. I was so happy to have him on the mound Friday night during that big spot in the 8th and the 9th. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we see Towers again. I was kind of a little maybe shocked he didn't start Saturday. So when I found out on Friday night that it was going to be Rose, but yeah, we'll see.
Spitzer Scott says, if Joe Webb opens Sundays, who do y'all trust on Saturdays until Van Kempen is back? Payne, Towers, or Saccone? He says Saccone is a good midweek option. Could move Towers back and have Saccone available Saturday. I think it's just – I think you have to give Payne another start. Do I think he's going to go out there and give you 4 innings every time? No, but at least he deserves another start and, has shown he can do it. And I think it's just going to continue to be by committee, Spencer. I think it's just going to be one of those things where you get through one game at a time. Obviously, you have a little bit of a plan now maybe with Norby and then Payne. We'll see if Joseph Webb continues in that role versus being a longer bullpen guy. But Cliff Godwin's going to treat it game to game and figure it out from there. I would expect that to be the case. And then maybe you leave Saccone in midweek for now, see how it goes this week for Duke, and they kind of go from there. This is going to be a ever-changing, fluid situation on the pitching side. All right, we'll talk more baseball tonight on the Bucks on the Pond podcast. Join us 9 p.m. Eastern, live on the Hoist the Colors YouTube page. I'll have Scott Lorbatcher, Jonathan Wagner with me, and we'll break it down more, answer more of your questions then. Let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll talk some spring football before we get out of here. Coordinator press conferences recap after this.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment here. Busy Monday. We got the Hoist the Colors VIP chat going on the website. Also about to post our practice report because we were out at football practice talking baseball as well. We'll have Bucks on the Pond at 9 o'clock tonight on Hoist the Colors. Finishing up HTC radio right now. And we did it, Philip. We finally talked to the coordinators, Jordan Davis and Jordan Hankins. We introduced them to Greenville, not that they need it, but we had not talked to them yet. So we also introduced them to ourselves, and I thought it went pretty well.
I thought it went well. I thought Hankins had already been introduced to Greenville. He said he got elbowed in the face during the rushing of the field. But both of them were, I thought they were very open, that they wanted to be there, it felt like, or at least if they didn't want to, they didn't show it. They were ready to put their message out to the Pirate Nation. Any questions are asked, even kind of the tougher ones about quarterbacks and all that stuff. They were very open. They cracked some jokes. They seemed like they're very personal guys. So it was really good to just kind of sit there and chat with them for a second.
Jordan Davis, big takeaways from me, talked about why he came to ECU and just felt like it was time to kind of branch off. We talked about a lot when he was hired from Eric Morris, who wants to run his own thing. It was pretty clear that Blake being a defensive-minded coach and kind of letting him run his own show offensively has been kind of what he was looking for. And I thought you asked a great question about redoing the install. And he kind of admitted, look, as a coach, you want to go put all your install in, get ahead. But he thought one of the best things Blake has done is slow it down and really have the guys focus on how they're doing things. And we hear that a lot, but then, sometimes we think it may be coach speak. That shows, how you do things at ECU actually matters, maybe even more so than the scheme. If you're not going to play the right way, then it's not going to work. And I thought we saw a reflection of that early in spring practice, and it seems to kind of hit home with even the new coaches.
It does. And, so like you said, the coaches obviously put their money where their mouth was by making that decision. But then that was also, you brought up Coach Davis talking about that, but Coach Hankins brought it up when I can't remember who it was that asked him what attracted him to ECU, and the first thing he said is how they play the game. And he said it was not a schematic thing, and he even said, it's not the X's and O's of how they play. It's what Pirate football means. It's how they play. And so it's just He used the term that he believed that there was already a culture here that he could come be a part of. And that's what it seems like. It seems like these guys are bought in. It doesn't seem like they're here for a cup of coffee, just a pit stop to go to the next place. I mean, obviously this is not where they're going to end their careers, but they actually want this to be part of their story, not just something they did.
And they come from the same conference. Obviously, you mentioned Hankins. I asked him about being on the other side of the game last year, and that's when he mentioned he got elbowed in the face. But he's like, look, man, that's why you play, that's why you coach, that's why you play football, for games like that. You know, he just talked about how good of a game it was. Coach Davis mentioned how much football matters here, and obviously it matters in Texas. It matters to a degree at North Texas, which has had a program for a long time, but like you come here and it's just different. And I think you get that vibe, you know, when you practice in the shadow of Daddy Ficklin Stadium, the indoor facility going up next to it, the buzz around town. You know, everybody asking me weekly, shout out Kenny Curlins, when are we going to hear from these new coaches? Like, I don't know if that's happening in Denton, Texas quite as much as Greenville, North Carolina.
It's not. And there's the biggest thing of that is it's credit to the East Carolina fan base, right? It's credit to you guys. But also, you are the only show in town. You know, in Dallas, there's this team called the Cowboys that people in every time zone, on every continent, in every country in the world care about. And you're in their shadow. You're practicing the shadow of AT&T Stadium, not Dowdy Ficklin Stadium.
No doubt. And most of the people that didn't go to North Texas pull for Texas and Texas A&M as well in that area, or Texas Tech. So a lot to choose from. And different environment, but I think Jordan Hankins and Jordan Davis both liking it at ECU thus far. We'll break down more of what they talked about X's and O's wise, personnel wise on Tuesday's show. We'll have more of a spring practice specific discussion there. We're out of time for today. Tomorrow we'll have Mike Mullis on ECU baseball, also talk some spring ball, preview the Duke game too. We'll see you then on HTC. Thanks for listening.